Welcome to S&M Radio, everybody. This is Shanon.
And I'm Mark.
So this time we are talking about another one of our childhood favorites. And to go along with sort of the theme that we went along with the last episode, werewolves. So this time we are talking about An American Werewolf in London.
Yes, we are. What a great movie this is, huh? I think I've been saying that a lot pretty much about our last several movies.
Yeah, that's probably why we said we should go ahead and just do an episode about it and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we did with Creep Show a couple of months ago where like every episode it was like, Creep Show's great. Let's talk about Creep Show sometime.
Yeah, we have to get these out of the way. I mean, these are like bubbling up in our system. These are just great movies and they've kind of been referenced in some of our episodes. So it's like, yeah, we talked about this one. Why don't we just talk about it for a whole episode?
For those of you who aren't aware, American Werewolf in London is a 1981, technically another foreign movie, sort of. It is a British-American comedy horror movie that was, oddly enough, written and directed by John Landis, which, I've known that all along. When you say the name John Landis, it doesn't jump out at you as one of the great horror names. It's no Wes Craven or no John Carpenter or Tom Savini or, Alfred Hitchcock or, any of those names that anytime you hear his name, you just, he's a horror guy.
Yeah, it is kind of strange because, he really, this was pretty much it, wasn't it? For the most part with horror. I mean, he had like the Blues Brothers, of course, and he also did the Twilight Zone, the movie. But in terms of and Michael Jackson's Thriller, which is in a film, but kind of goes along with the horror theme.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a great movie, and I don't know. To me, that this is like, this is probably John Landis at his best, in my opinion.
Well, I think that we're a little biased in that aspect of it when it comes to it.
I think so.
So the storyline for this one is actually pretty basic. The movie is really about these two American men who are hiking in England, and it starts to rain, and they go to this like little pub to get out of the cold, and everybody's kind of standoffish to him a little bit, kind of being jerks to him. And there's this like pentagram on the wall, and they ask what the deal is with the pentagram, and they get kicked out of the bar in the middle of the rainstorm, and everybody's like, beware of the Moors, stay on the road. And they leave the bar, and they're walking out into the middle of nowhere, and they're kind of talking and laughing and yucking it up, and all of a sudden they realize that they're off the road, and they hear this like howling in the distance. Sounds like it's getting closer, and then they get attacked by the werewolf, or a werewolf, and then Jack gets killed. David gets attacked, but he doesn't get killed. He ends up in a hospital, ends up with this relationship with his nurse. They build this relationship. Turns out later on he turns into a werewolf. So it's a pretty simple, straightforward story.
And that's one of the best. That's a great attack scene too. That whole scene on the moor when they can see the wolf in the distance, and it's kind of they're explaining, oh, what's that? What is that? An animal? Might be a coyote and all that stuff, and then. Sure enough, quickly enough, his Jack gets thrown to the ground, and the wolf just annihilates him, tears him apart. That's a pretty disturbing scene. I remember when I first saw that. We rented the theatrical version because I had all of you who've been listening to this show for a while know that like my collection or the original movies I saw were typically edited for television. So I remember when we rented that and I saw the theatrical version, it really was disturbing. Just the length of time that wolf is just shredding him.
Yeah, it's gruesome too. And this is one of the things with that scene that always has stood out with me personally, even to this day, is when they shoot the wolf to everybody at the bar after they leave. One of the bartenders like, you guys shouldn't have left him go.
Mm-hmm.
And they hear the howling and they're like, oh shit, we should probably go see what's going on. So they go and find him. They shoot the wolf as it's attacking David, and then like immediately there's like this guy laying on the ground with a gun wound in his abdomen.
Right.
And so to me, that's always been not just the werewolf attacking them, even as brutal as it is, but that them shooting the werewolf and it turning into a man, like immediately, you're like, oh, I don't know why, but it's always just like, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it's disturbing. That whole scene is just great, in my opinion. Excellent opening scene. Great horror right there. And again, this was like this came up before The Howling, didn't it?
This came out in 1981, and The Howling came out in 1981, and then another movie that we are going to talk about in a future episode, Wolfen, came out in 1981 as well.
Yeah, that's interesting how those two came out at right in the same year. I didn't realize that because that was. I remember when I first saw. I want to say it was Werewolf in London, and The Howling. Whatever, I must have seen them both real close back to back. When I was a really little kid, my parents took me to both films, like at the movie theater, and I remember seeing them both in the movie theater, which is really weird.
That's good parenting right there.
That's great parenting. And because I remember the reasoning being that my dad was really interested to see how they would do the werewolf transformations because he was used to the old Universal, the Wolfman, with the gradual fur on the face and that kind of thing. And so it was, this was brand new 80s special effects they really went all out with these transformations for both movies. And an American Werewolf in London is like one of the most probably famous or more popular werewolf transformations out there.
Yeah, and I told you this, but just so everybody else knows too, last Christmas we went to Florida on a family vacation, and one of the days me and my family went to Universal Studios, and this is a Universal movie, and they have this horror show that they do at Universal. It's just like a hour-long demonstration. They bring a special effects artist in, and they show you how they do some different special effects. But one of the cool things that they had during that demonstration was that they had a couple of the props that they used for the change scene of the head. So it had these like different areas of the head that were like hydraulic and would like pump in and out and stuff. And they had one that had a latex mask on it, like a wolf mask on it. And then they had one that didn't have anything on it, so you could see how it worked. So that was really cool. The transformation scene in this movie, to me, has always been one of my favorites. I mean, I think we could both pretty much say this is probably both of our favorite werewolf movies.
Yeah, this is definitely it.
But up until Wolf Cop came out, I'd never seen another werewolf transformation scene in a movie that I was just like, oh, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. But yeah, this transformation was great, and they really did a great job with it. And that one scene, I mean, this one, and I do like the Howling one. We talked about that, but I do think that this one, in terms of the story and theatrically, I think this one works just a little bit better.
There's a couple of things from this movie that I want to get your opinion on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number one is the actual wolf in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that vision of a wolf?
It's funny. I prefer the walking on two legs werewolf, like what we saw in The Howling. I think that the design of the werewolf in The Howling is better. This one, I liked it, but I didn't like where it was literally like a well, I mean, it walks on all fours. I wasn't a big fan of that, but I thought the design was okay. I like the, and it's kind of funny though. They really film it in a way where you never really get a real good look at it. It seems like.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too. That's of this movie. There's two things I would knock, and the other one we'll talk about in a second. But that is the actual werewolf itself after the transformation. Because when he's transforming, it's like really cool. But then, yeah, as you said later on in the movie, there's a couple of shots of him after he's transformed completely, and it's more wolf-like than it is werewolf-like. And then my other problem with this movie, and I would say that both of these are actually, again, go back to being that this is a John Landis movie, is one of the things with this movie that I actually, overall, I like this concept of the movie. Jack and David were attacked at the same time. Jack got killed. David survived. David turned into a werewolf. So they had this sort of connection, like this kind of like Sixth Sense kind of thing, where David was being visited by Jack because Jack was in this like state of limbo. Still waiting to go on to the afterlife or whatever the deal was. And every time Jack would come to see David, he would give him like information like, oh, watch out for this or watch out for that or beware of this or that. And every time he would come and visit David, he would be at a more advanced decomposition. And towards the end of the movie, when he was like almost a completely rotten skeleton, he was more puppet-like than anything. And I know that me and you both are usually like against CGI. We want practical effects and stuff. But when I'm watching a horror movie, and I know this has always been kind of labeled as a comedy horror, even though there's really not any comedy in it. When it gets towards the end of the movie, and the guy, because up until the end of the movie, the Jack character is kind of creepy. He comes out of the shadows and he's, oh, Jesus, man, where'd you come from? But then at the end of the movie, you're just waiting for Oscar the Grouch and Big Bird to come around the corner because he's like a Muppet.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw the movie when I was a kid, they're in the porn theater, and that's where we see the puppet version of Jack. It did kind of take me out of the movie a little bit because it's so clearly a puppet, just the way the mouth is moving and all that. Over time, I've kind of grown to like it a little bit. That whole scene is very weird. All of the victims are there in the theater. And I think that's kind of like the John Landis comedy touch or whatever. I take it for what it is. I don't think that doesn't bother me so much. The initial scenes with him with the scarring makeup and all of that are pretty grotesque, and like you said, he kind of pops out and he's always kind of appearing, and it's sort of like scary and foreboding. And although he kind of, there's a little bit of that comic relief with that character, at the same time, the fact that he's like this ghost walking in limbo, decomposing is really kind of creepy.
Yeah. There's the one scene where I don't remember if it's the very first time he comes out or if it's like the second time he comes out, but he's got like this flap of skin hanging off of his neck, and it's like flapping,
right?
Like in the wind as he's talking and stuff. And you're like, oh, nasty. Those two things are really the only gripes I would have, and neither one of them are really that big. I mean, you only see the wolf like once or twice throughout the entire movie. But it's just one of those things where, and it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just my personal preference. I would rather be an actual werewolf than a wolf.
Yeah, this one, I think it's really, the story it's really good. It's a really well-paced story. You've got the two American kids, one of them gets bit, the other one gets killed. And then they, the one that gets killed is kind of warning him, like we said, as like in sort of a ghost form, that he's a werewolf, and he kind of has to come to grips with it. He doesn't know what's going on, and he moves in with the nurse, that's been taking care of him, and he kind of starts to he's having all these crazy weird dreams, and then we see that him transform and go out on a killing spree as a werewolf, and it's kind of a love story, and it's a really good movie. Very well paced, lots of cool monster effects. Not only the transformations, but what do you think of the dream sequences?
Oh yeah, those guys in those dream sequences were creepy as hell,
weren't they? Like the what would you even call those things? Like Nazi zombies and
almost like human-sized goblins or something.
Yeah,
Mouth full of razor-sharp teeth, and ugh.
Oh yeah,
they had those big old Rambo knives before Rambo even came out.
Yeah, there's some creepy stuff in that. Yeah, those dreams were pretty terrifying too. Like he has the dream where he's running in the woods and he attacks the deer, and then he has that one dream where he's like in the bed in the middle of the woods, and the nurse comes and checks on him, and he's like turns into like some kind of some sort of creature. But yeah, it's a really good movie.
So if you haven't seen American Werewolf in London, make sure to go check it out.
Yeah, it's a must see. If you're looking for a werewolf movie, yeah, you definitely got to check out An American Werewolf in London. Oh, and also Frank Oz is in this too, briefly.
2 thumbs up for An American Werewolf in London.
Oh yeah.
And if you haven't seen this movie at this point, you can no longer listen to the show anymore.
Yeah, just delete all episodes that you have downloaded of our show and move on.
All right, everybody, we'll check you next episode, and we can safely say what the next episode's going to be because we're going to record it here in about 30 seconds.
Oh, good.
The next episode, we are going to be talking about another new movie, The Witch. And by the sounds of that, I'll just give you a little insight. One of us liked it. One of us might have loved it. Maybe not.